The UK's chief negotiator, David Frost, has travelled to Brussels to resume post-Brexit trade talks with the EU, 2 days after talks were paused due to significant divergences. President Trump has used his first rally since losing the presidential election to call on his supporters to ensure Republican candidates win key Senate vote-off races in Georgia. If the Democrats win both seats, they will take control of the Senate. Venezuela is holding elections for its National Assembly. Most opposition parties are boycotting the vote. President Maduro is expected then to retain control. That's despite several countries recognizing his rival Juan Guaido as the legitimate leader. Japanese space scientists say the capsule, which brought back samples gathered on an asteroid, has returned to Earth in perfect shape. Hayabusa 2 was recovered in the Australian desert after re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Government moves about 1,600 Rohingya refugees from the mainland to an island in the Bay of Bengal, reportedly against their will. The Ethiopian government says it has seized or killed most commanders of rebels in Tigray, but their leader disputes the report. China's space agency releases pictures of a Chinese flag that a Chinese spacecraft placed on the moon Thursday. And in the US, Warner Brothers says each of its 2021 movie theater releases will also open on the same day for streaming on HBO Max.
Japan's space probe Hayabusa 2 has sent its capsule to a perfect landing on Earth. The Japanese Space Agency says it has retrieved the capsule, designed to carry samples from a remote asteroid. Stargazers in the Australian outback saw something like a shooting star at 4 a.m. local time on Sunday. That was the module entering the Earth's atmosphere. Officials at the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, say a search helicopter spotted the capsule. The capsule is said to be transported by plane to Japan on Monday evening. JAXA's researchers will study the samples brought back from space. They hope to learn more about how the solar system was formed. JAXA officials say they now have the technology to make round trips between planets. The head of the agency says the project has produced various results.
I think the project has encouraged many young people to have an interest in space or related jobs.
Hayabusa 2 has traveled 5 billion kilometers over the past 6 years, but it is already on a new mission to another asteroid. The probe is expected to reach its next destination after 11 years. Now to the coronavirus situation in Japan. The Tokyo metropolitan government says 327 new infections were confirmed in the capital on Sunday. It's the 12th day in a row the daily tally has been over 300. 54 patients have serious symptoms, down 1 from Saturday. The total number of people who have tested positive in the city now stands at 43,704. Meanwhile, in Osaka, relatively few people were out and about after the prefecture issued a red alert. Residents have been asked to avoid non-essential outings. It registered another 310 new infections on Sunday. In total, over 2,000 new cases were confirmed across the country. More than 163,000 people have been infected since the pandemic began. Over 2,300 have died. Demand for business jets has been expanding since the pandemic began. It's being seen by some as a way to transport small groups of people while reducing the risk of coronavirus infection. The trend comes as Japan resumes business travel to and from China, Singapore, and other parts of the world. JAL Business Aviation operates charter flights for groups of up to about 10 people. The firm says the number of inquiries from corporate clients has recently climbed roughly 4 times from the level before the pandemic. The company ascribes the demand to reduced regular international flights and the need to step up anti-infection measures for people on business trips.
We expect demand for business jets to grow a lot. There are advantages in terms of managing time and hygiene, rather than the simply perceived image of flying in luxury.
Fuji Business Jet is another Japanese company offering domestic charter flights. It plans to increase its fleet of 3 jets to 4 around next spring to meet the growing demand. In South Korea, new infection cases have topped 600, returning to levels last seen this past March. That's prompted the government to raise social distancing requirements for the Seoul metropolitan area. It was decided on Sunday that the second highest level in the country's 5-tier alert system would be applied to the greater Seoul area for 3 weeks from Tuesday. The measure will ban gatherings of 50 or more people. Large supermarkets and movie theaters must close by 9 p.m. Prime Minister Chon Se-gyun called for cooperation so that people's lives can return to normal as soon as possible. We stay in South Korea, where a deepening rift between the justice minister and the chief prosecutor has paralyzed national politics. For the first time in the country's history, Prosecutor General Yoon So-gyo is facing a disciplinary panel. Justice Minister Chu Mi-ae suspended Yoon last month and sought to penalize him for misconduct allegations. These include inappropriate contact with a publisher of a newspaper that is critical of the government. Yoon returned to work after a court injunction lifted his suspension, but he faces a disciplinary meeting on Thursday. South Korean media say the panel may decide to dismiss Yoon, but it's not clear if the meeting will be held. Yoon argues that it's unconstitutional for the panel members to be chosen by the justice minister. He hopes to obtain a ruling from the Constitutional Court. Yoon was appointed by President Moon Jae-in. Moon has been seeking to reform the prosecutor's office, which critics say has too much power. But Yoon led the investigations into a scandal involving relatives of a former justice minister. Cho Guk, a close aide of President Moon, was forced to resign. The incumbent justice minister has repeatedly tried to remove Yoon from investigations since assuming her post in January. She has also demoted and transferred his close associates.